Hello and welcome to another video. Yes, today will be a continuation of the tank series that started yesterday. Today's video will be about the Panzer 38T. The Panzer 38T was originally a Czech tank of pre-World War II design. After Czechoslovakia was taken over by Germany, it was adopted by the German army, seeing service in the invasions of Poland, France and Russia. Production ended in 1942 when its armament was deemed inadequate. In all, over 1,400 were manufactured. The chassis continued to be produced for the Marder III that was produced between 1942 and 1944, with some of its components used in the later Panzer 38, which was produced 1944 to 1945. Both of those were tank destroyers, turretless assault guns, both of those were tank destroyers. Some parts of it also got used in the turretless assault guns, anti-tank guns, and anti-aircraft guns. The Panzer 38T was a conventional pre-World War II tank design with riveted armour and an engine in the rear. The riveted armour was mostly not sloped and varied in thickness from 10mm to 25mm in most versions. Later models, like the Ausf increased this to 50mm by bolting on an additional 25mm armour to the front. Side armour received additional 15mm armour from Ausf. And onward. The two-man turret was centrally located and housed the tank's main armament, a 37mm Skoda A7 gun with 90 rounds stored on board. It was equipped with a 7.92mm machine gun to the right of the main ordnance. This turret machine gun was in a separate ball mount rather than a fixed coaxial mount. This meant that the machine gun could be trained on targets independently to the main gun and use it as a coaxial machine gun. The driver was in the front right of the hull, with the bow machine gunner seated to the left, manning the 7.92mm machine gun. As with many 1930s tanks, the bow gunner was also the radio operator. The radio was mounted on the left of the bow gunner. Minor adjustments, such as adjustable seats for the driver and firmer footing for the gunner/commander and loader, were provided in German service. A total of 2,550 rounds were carried for the bow and turret machine guns. The driver could also fire the hull machine gun with a trigger fitted on the left tiller bar. Now, this particular Panzer has been used by many countries throughout the 20th century, but it played its biggest role in Nazi Germany, and so for the purpose of this video I am going to be taking a look at its use in Nazi Germany and their armoured divisions. In German service, a loader position was added to the turret by reducing ammunition capacity by 18 rounds. All future Panzer 38Ts tanks were rebuilt accordingly to this specification, and those already in service were modified accordingly. The commander had to aim and fire the main gun. The engine was mounted in the rear of the hull and drove the tank through a transmission with 5 forward gears and 1 reverse gear to forward drive sprockets. The track ran 4 rubber-tired road wheels and back over a rear idler and 2 track return rollers. The wheels were mounted on a leaf spring double bogey, I think it says. I'm not sure what that's supposed to say. Mounted on 2 axes or axles, I'm not sure. Again, what the fuck is wrong with my writing? Despite the large wheel size, the tank did not use a Christie suspension. The Panzer 38T performed well in the Polish? The hell is Polish? Well, in the Polish campaign in 1939 and the Battle of France in 1940. It was better armed than the Panzer I and Panzer II tanks. It was on par with most light tank designs of the era, although it was unable to effectively engage the frontal armour of the medium, heavy and infantry tank designs. It was also used in the German invasion of the Soviet Union from 1941 onwards, in German and Hungarian units, but was outclassed by Soviet tanks such as the T-34. Some ex-German units were issued to the Romanians in 1943, after the loss of many of the Romanian R2 tanks. By then it had become largely obsolete, though the chassis was adapted to a variety of different roles with success. Notable variations included the kpfw. It's the Panzer Kopf 38. I've been calling it the Panzer 38. Panzer Kopf 38T. Sorry about that. SDKFZ 138 Marder 3 mobile anti-tank gun and the SDKFZ 138/1 grill mobile howitzer, the Flak Panzer 38T and the Jagdpanzer 38T, and also the Hetzer tank destroyer. Or wait, are those one and the same? Jagdpanzer 38T and Hetzer? I think they might be, but you know, it goes to show how much I don't know about these things. But anyway, small numbers were also used for reconnaissance, training and security duties, such as deployment on armoured trains. The famous German tank commander Otto Carius, who was credited with over 150 kills, described the following action in a 38T in July 8, 1941. It happened like greased lightning. A hit against our tank, a metallic crack, the scream of a comrade, and that was all there was. A large piece of armour plating had been penetrated next to the radio operator's seat. No one had to tell us to get out, not until I had run my hand across my face while crawling in the ditch next to the road. Did I discover that they had also got me. Our radio operator lost his left arm. We cursed the brittle and inelastic Czech steel that gave the Russian 47mm anti-tank gun so little trouble. The pieces of our own armour plating and assembly bolts caused considerably more damage than the shrapnel of the round itself. In contrast, these are his words about the German-made armour. Again and again we admired the quality of the steel on our tanks. It was hard without being brittle. Despite its hardness, it was also elastic, and if an anti-tank round didn't hit the armour dead on, it slid off like on its side and left behind a gouge, as if you would run your finger over a soft piece of butter. The above report highlights the reason why the 38T was pulled out of front lines in favour of the heavier Panzer III, IV and Stug 3s. The Panzer 38T continued to serve after 1941 as a reconnaissance vehicle in anti-partisan units for some time. Several captured examples were refitted with Soviet DTM machine guns and employed by the Red Army. Reliable running gears and chassis proved useful throughout the conflict. At the start of Operation Barbarossa, the Germans found Russian T-34 tanks to be superior, as the German 37mm PaK-36 anti-tank gun proved incapable of penetrating the T-34's armour. To neutralise the Russian T-34, the Germans mounted a captured Russian 76.2mm field gun on the chassis of the Panzer 38T model, nothing more than a Panzer 38T with a Russian 76mm divisional gun M1936 or the F-22 in place of a turret, with the breech modified to take German ammunition. Because of this arrangement, crews of early Marder III models fought exposed on top of the 38T's engine deck. Crews of early Marder III models fought exposed on top of the 38T's engine deck, behind where the turret used to be. Continuous efforts to provide Marder III crews with more protection eventually led to the tank destroyer Hetzer, which still used the same running gears on widened chassis and slightly widened track links to compensate for the extra weight of the armour. See if it's still recording. Yep, it's still recording. Wow, this is going to be a shorter upload time than yesterday's video, which took fucking forever. The weight of the armour. When Germany was being attacked from both west and east, the Hetzer served the German army as one of the most common German AFVs in the last year of the war. Production of the Hetzer continued for the Czechoslovak army after the war. Switzerland purchased 158 examples. Swiss Hetzer served into the 1960s. The removal of turrets from the Panzer 38T tanks for conversion of the chassis to tank destroyer and other uses freed 351 turrets for use in fortifications in various locations. Almost half of these, 150 of them, were used in southwest Europe, while 78 went to the Eastern Front, 75 to Norway, 25 in Italy, 20 in Denmark, and 9 in the Atlantic Wall. The small bore armament and thin armour of the turrets made them insignificant as an anti-tank pillbox by the later stages of the war, but they were still useful in combating infantry attacks. The SD KFZ 140/1 Panzer 38T is a reconnaissance vehicle based on the Panzer 38T. It came about from a shortage of light reconnaissance tanks. Panzer I was outdated and the Panzer II Lux was only just starting production. To fill this gap, the Panzer 38T mounted smaller 20mm guns. Mounting smaller 20mm guns was built in small numbers. The basic construction was to remove the 38T's turret and build up the hull superstructure and place an open turret from either a SDKFZ 222 or SDKFZ 234/1. Anyway, that is all for this video, and that is all for the Panzer 38T. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and as always, subscribe.